There is a quiet truth about change that most people miss. Transformation rarely arrives in a single grand gesture. More often, it begins with one simple action, so small it seems incapable of altering anything at all. Yet, when repeated, that action begins to grow, to multiply, to create effects far beyond what its size would suggest. This is the compounding law of a single action, the idea that small, deliberate choices, performed consistently, can build outcomes that feel almost inevitable. At first, the change is invisible. You perform the habit once, and nothing obvious happens. You do it again, and the result still hides. This is the nature of compounding. Its rewards are delayed. Just as compound interest in finance does not make you rich overnight but builds wealth gradually, the returns on a habit arrive only after the invisible work has stacked high enough to break the surface. This delay fools many into quitting too soon. They imagine that because they cannot see the reward, the action has no value. In truth, every repetition is a deposit in the account of your future. Mathematically, compounding is simple but deceptive. Double 1, and you get 2. Double again, and you have 4. In a few steps, the numbers remain small, 8, 16, 32. But keep going, and the explosion arrives, thousands, millions, a magnitude shift that feels sudden but was built in silence all along. Habits work in the same way. That daily run, that nightly reading, that morning meditation, each is a doubling of your foundation. The growth hides until it no longer can. One of the most powerful aspects of this law is that it works whether you are aware of it or not. The habit you choose shapes your trajectory. If the habit is constructive, the compounding pulls you upward. If it is destructive, the same mechanism drags you down. A single action, repeated, can either free you or bind you. This is why awareness of what you do daily is so critical. You are either compounding strength or compounding weakness. There is no neutral. The compounding law also explains why mastery feels slow at first and unstoppable later. In the early stages, progress is almost imperceptible because you are building the base. The human mind often underestimates exponential growth. We expect change to be linear, not geometric. But once momentum takes hold, the curve rises sharply, and what once felt impossible becomes automatic. The habit that once required force now carries you forward effortlessly. The beauty of a single action is that it does not need to be dramatic to be effective. It could be as small as writing one paragraph a day, saving a single dollar, doing a single push-up, or learning one new word. The size of the action matters far less than the consistency of its repetition. What begins as a tiny point on the graph eventually becomes a towering arc that defines the shape of your life. And because the effects are delayed, the compounding law also teaches patience. You cannot plant a seed and demand fruit the next morning. You water, you wait, you trust the process. Each act of watering feels unremarkable in isolation, but it is essential in accumulation. The invisible days, the days when nothing appears to happen, are the days when the roots grow deep, preparing to support the visible growth to come. A single action, repeated, changes not only results but identity. Over time, you begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer someone who tries, you are someone who does. This identity shift is itself a form of compounding, because beliefs influence actions, and actions reinforce beliefs. The loop strengthens with every cycle, until the habit is no longer something you do, it is something you are. Reality is not fixed in the way most people believe. What you experience each day is not simply the product of external events, but a reflection of the patterns you repeat. Actions performed consistently form grooves in the mind, and over time, those grooves guide your perception, your decisions, and the opportunities you notice. Through repetition, you do not merely build skills or habits, you sculpt the shape of the world you live in. The mind is highly adaptive. It reorganizes itself around the signals you give it, and those signals are determined by what you do again and again. If you repeatedly dwell on problems, your mind becomes skilled at finding more of them. If you repeatedly seek solutions, your mind becomes skilled at finding possibilities. This is why repetition is such a powerful architect of reality. It trains your mental lens to notice certain aspects of the world while ignoring others. The longer the repetition continues, the more your environment appears to confirm your focus. Every habit you maintain sends a message to your brain: this is important. Whether it is practicing an instrument, exercising, reading, or even checking your phone, repetition tells your nervous system to prioritize these actions. Neurons that fire together wire together, which means the brain becomes more efficient at supporting whatever patterns you reinforce. Eventually, those patterns extend outward into your physical world. Skills create opportunities. Opportunities create new environments. Environments reinforce the original habit, and the cycle strengthens. The shaping power of repetition explains why even small daily actions can have massive long-term effects. Imagine a single drop of water falling onto a stone. One drop changes nothing. But thousands, over months and years, carve channels into the surface. Your repeated behaviors are the drops, and your life's circumstances are the stone. Given enough time, the stone will yield to the pattern. Repetition is also the bridge between intention and reality. Many people have desires, goals, and visions for their lives, but without repeated action, those visions remain abstract. When you repeat an action, you transform the imagined into the physical. A single workout may not change your body, but a year of them reshapes it entirely. Writing one page may not create a book, but writing one page every day inevitably does. There is a hidden law within repetition. The act does not only produce results, it produces identity. Each time you repeat something, you tell yourself, "This is who I am." The runner becomes a runner not on the first run, but on the 100th. The musician becomes a musician not after playing once, but after playing daily until the act feels as natural as breathing. Repetition transforms a behavior into a part of the self, and once that identity is formed, the behavior becomes nearly impossible to abandon. The reality-shaping effect of repetition is not limited to grand ambitions. It applies to the smallest aspects of life. If you greet each day with gratitude, you begin to notice more reasons to be grateful. If you consistently approach challenges with curiosity instead of fear, your world becomes a place of exploration rather than threat. Over time, the outer world begins to mirror the inner one, and the distinction between the two blurs. This is why repetition is both a tool and a responsibility. Whatever you repeat, you reinforce, and whatever you reinforce becomes your reality. If the habit serves your growth, your reality will expand. If it works against you, your reality will shrink. The choice of what to repeat is, therefore, the choice of the world you will inhabit. The most profound changes rarely come from a single moment of inspiration. They come from thousands of small, consistent acts that, over time, rewrite the script of your life. Every repeated action is a stroke of the brush, and your reality is the canvas that slowly takes form beneath your hand. Every action you take carries energy, and that energy carries direction. When your actions are aligned with your deepest aims, your movement through life gains a certain clarity and force. Instead of scattering effort in multiple directions, you channel it toward a singular path, and the results begin to accumulate in ways that seem almost effortless. The energy alignment principle is the recognition that life flows more smoothly when your daily behavior is in harmony with your highest purpose. Imagine two rivers. One flows straight and uninterrupted toward the ocean. The other twists, splits, and doubles back on itself. The first river reaches its destination faster, with greater strength, because its energy is concentrated. The second loses force at every bend, its momentum broken by constant redirection. This is how misaligned energy works. Your efforts may be intense, but if they are scattered, the results will be diluted. Alignment channels the full force of your capacity into one coherent stream. Alignment begins with clarity. If you do not know what you truly want, your energy will naturally disperse into whatever captures your attention in the moment. Clarity acts like a lens, focusing light into a sharp beam. Without it, your energy is like sunlight scattered across the sky, bright, but unable to ignite anything. With it, your energy becomes a laser capable of cutting through obstacles that once felt immovable. When you align your actions with your purpose, the world seems to shift in response. Opportunities begin to appear that match your trajectory. People enter your life who share your vision or can help advance it. Circumstances that once felt random start to form patterns that support your direction. This is not magic, but momentum, a result of removing inner contradictions. When your mind, emotions, and actions point the same way, you notice and act on chances you would otherwise miss. Misalignment, on the other hand, creates friction. You may work hard, but part of you is resisting, doubting, or moving in a different direction. This internal conflict consumes energy that could have gone toward progress. It is like trying to row a boat while dragging an anchor. The harder you row, the more drained you feel, and the less distance you cover. The energy alignment principle also reveals why discipline becomes easier when you are aligned. When your actions feed your purpose, you no longer have to force yourself to move forward. You are pulled by the vision itself. This does not mean there is no effort, but the effort feels meaningful rather than exhausting. The energy you put out comes back to you as motivation, creating a loop that sustains itself. Alignment is not only about choosing the right goals, it is also about removing actions that conflict with them. Every choice either strengthens or weakens your direction. Even small contradictions, a habit that drains your health when you value vitality, or a routine that wastes time when you value creation, can create disproportionate resistance. Over time, removing these leaks in your energy can be as transformative as adding new sources of power. The principle extends beyond personal achievement. Groups, teams, and entire communities can experience alignment when everyone moves toward a shared purpose. The combined energy amplifies results far beyond what individuals could accomplish alone. This is why collective vision, when clear and unified, has the power to reshape industries, cultures, and even civilizations. Energy alignment also works internally across time. The actions you take today should not only serve your present but also support your future. When your present self and your future self agree on the direction, you stop sabotaging tomorrow for the sake of today. This temporal alignment creates a sense of stability and trust in yourself, which in turn frees more energy for progress. The energy alignment principle is ultimately about coherence, the elimination of wasted motion, the removal of conflicting forces, and the concentration of effort into a single, unbroken line between where you are and where you intend to be. Chaos is not only found in the unpredictable events of the outside world, it also exists in the quiet clutter of the mind. Thoughts pulling in opposing directions, unfinished tasks lingering like shadows, decisions postponed until they become burdens. All of these create mental noise that drains energy before any action begins. The elimination of chaos is not about controlling everything, but about reducing the unnecessary friction that prevents you from moving with clarity and purpose. Chaos thrives in indecision. Every time you hesitate, your mind spins through countless possibilities, burning energy without producing movement. This constant mental churn weakens focus, making even simple actions feel heavy. By removing ambiguity from your daily life, deciding in advance what matters and what does not, you cut through the fog that chaos creates. Order is not about perfection, it is about creating conditions in which your attention can flow freely toward what matters most. Small, repeated sources of disorder create a background hum of distraction. A cluttered desk, scattered schedules, or an overloaded to-do list may seem harmless, but they signal to the mind that nothing is truly settled. In this state, your mental resources are constantly scanning for what is missing or out of place. When you remove these constant triggers, you reclaim mental bandwidth that can be invested into deeper, more meaningful work. The elimination of chaos also applies to commitments. Many people agree to too many things, thinking each one will only take a little time or effort. But each commitment is more than the hours it consumes. It occupies mental space, demanding reminders, planning, and emotional investment. Reducing your commitments to only those that align with your purpose is an act of focus. This narrowing of scope creates a life where the important has room to breathe and grow. In the mind, chaos often appears as conflicting priorities. You want to advance your career but also want more free time. You value health but ignore rest. You aim for growth but resist discomfort. These contradictions split your energy, forcing you to live in a constant state of compromise. Clarifying your hierarchy of values, deciding what comes first when priorities compete, removes much of this inner chaos. It allows you to act decisively, knowing that your choices are aligned with your deeper structure. The environment you live and work in is a mirror of your internal state. If your surroundings are in disarray, it often reflects scattered thinking. The process of bringing order to your environment can therefore become a method of bringing order to your mind. Cleaning, organizing, and simplifying are not just physical acts. They are symbolic declarations that you are creating space for clarity. The elimination of chaos also involves controlling the inputs you allow into your mental space. Information overload, constant news updates, endless scrolling, unfiltered conversations can overwhelm the mind with fragments of meaning that never coalesce into understanding. Limiting your inputs to those that serve your goals is not isolation, it is curation. It ensures that your mind is fed with signals that strengthen rather than scatter your focus. Order creates speed. Without chaos, decisions are made faster because they are made within clear boundaries. Action happens sooner because there is less resistance between intention and execution. This speed compounds over time, turning what was once a slow and hesitant process into a smooth, efficient rhythm. The elimination of chaos is not the pursuit of a silent, unchanging life. It is the cultivation of an environment, both internal and external, where your energy moves without unnecessary obstruction. By clearing the noise, you give your thoughts room to connect, your actions space to accelerate, and your vision a path without constant detours. Momentum is the silent force that transforms effort into acceleration. It begins quietly, often unnoticed, in the smallest of consistent actions. At first, the changes are almost invisible, and the temptation to dismiss them is strong. But with persistence, the repetition begins to generate its own power. Effort that once felt heavy becomes lighter, as if the work itself is now helping to carry you forward. The momentum effect is this shift, the moment when movement sustains itself and begins to create outcomes beyond the scale of your original input. In the early stages of any pursuit, progress feels slow because you are pushing against the weight of inertia. Every step requires conscious energy. You must remind yourself of your purpose, overcome doubt, and resist distraction. This is the hardest part, the phase where most people quit. Yet, if you persist through this slow beginning, something subtle changes. The effort you invested yesterday starts making today's work easier. This is the turning point where momentum begins to take hold. Momentum is built through repetition. Like a wheel, the more it turns, the less effort is required to keep it spinning. But momentum is fragile in its infancy. A single extended pause can dissipate the energy you have worked to build, forcing you to start again from stillness. This is why consistency is often more important than intensity. Even small actions, if repeated without interruption, protect and amplify your momentum over time. One of the most powerful aspects of the momentum effect is the way it compounds results. At first, your progress grows in a linear fashion, one step at a time. But once momentum is established, the returns become exponential. Each action builds upon the foundation of the last, creating a chain reaction where outcomes multiply without a proportional increase in effort. This is why people who have been consistent for years appear to achieve their goals with ease. They are riding the wave they have built over time. Momentum also has a psychological effect. Once progress becomes visible, motivation rises naturally. The brain is wired to respond to evidence of success, and momentum provides that evidence in a steady stream. The very act of seeing results fuels the desire to keep going, creating a feedback loop where action generates motivation and motivation fuels further action. This self-reinforcing cycle can carry you through challenges that would have stopped you in the beginning. The momentum effect reduces the role of willpower. In the early days, you must consciously choose to act, often against resistance. But once the habit is embedded in momentum, action feels natural, even automatic. Like a river flowing downhill, your movement no longer requires constant mental negotiation. Instead of dragging yourself forward, you are being pulled forward by the energy you have accumulated. However, momentum is not inherently positive. It will amplify whatever direction you are already moving in, whether productive or destructive. Bad habits can build momentum just as easily as good ones. A small negative action, repeated daily, can grow into a powerful force that carries you toward outcomes you did not intend. This is why awareness is critical. Momentum must be guided, not left to drift. Momentum also thrives in focused environments. When distractions are minimized and your attention is consistently directed toward a single goal, the energy builds without leaks. Conversely, dividing your focus among too many pursuits can fracture your momentum, slowing all progress. Concentrating on one major effort at a time allows the full power of compounding energy to work in your favor. The momentum effect is not a single moment of breakthrough but a steady accumulation of direction and force. It is the gradual yet unstoppable shift from pushing to being carried, from fighting resistance to being moved by it. It transforms the difficult into the familiar, the unfamiliar into the automatic, and the automatic into the unstoppable.